Thanks for tuning into the Match Play Podcast this week, guys. This week we have a very special guest, Brian Kelley. We're going to be discussing what it takes to be a collegiate golfer. Stay tuned.
All right, guys, please welcome Brian Kelley to the channel. Brian, can you tell us a little bit about your background in golf?
I played golf in high school in San Diego at University City High, CIF local champion, City Conference local champion 3 out of 4 years. Went on to play golf at Oregon State for 3 years and then transferred to finish out at Fresno State. Took a little break after college golf and then got back into the golf scene, working at Stadium Golf Center, Future Champions Golf, teaching juniors, helping with tournaments, and things like that. So I've always done something in the golf arena, even after college, even after playing days.
That's awesome. So what inspired you to pursue golf at the collegiate level at the beginning?
Well, I was a baseball player, really diehard baseball player growing up, but I just kind of picked up golf like a couple of years before the Tiger era started and was just kind of natural at it and got pretty good pretty quick. And, got to about 14, 15 years old and you can't play both when you go to high school. They're the same season. So I kind of had a decision to make. And knowing that it was easier to get a golf scholarship to college than a baseball scholarship, I kind of chose to go roll with golf and turn that passion into my full-time sport. I was always growing up playing multiple sports. But when you get into high school, sometimes you can't play them all. So I kind of just ran with golf, and that took me into college.
Cool. Very, very cool.
Brian, what would you say would be any key milestone or achievements for your high school career that that college coaches would be attracted to for recruiting? Is there anything in specific?
Consistency. They want to see your ability, and they can see talent pretty easily. But I would say they're looking for consistency. They're looking for how you act, how you mesh with a team, your personality. They're looking at, guys, what's your spectrum of capabilities? What your talent can take you. You can shoot, 9-hole matches, you're shooting 33, 36, 37, or do you go and shoot 45, 44? They're looking for kind of consistency in what you do, broadly, and seeing how you react to that.
So Brian, how important is tournament experience, and which tournaments do you think recruiters are holding the most weight with?
The first level is your high school, what you're doing, your high school matches and stuff. And then you got, tournaments and associations out there like AJGA, Future Champions Golf. In the summertime, there's a lot of big tournaments like Junior World, and there's other big tournaments scattered around the country, but it's different now than it was when I was in high school. But Junior World was the big tournament of the year, and that's where all the coaches went. But now it's way more scattered out, and West Coast, they go to a lot of Future Champions events, AJGA events. That's where you're seeing the coaches out watching, but they're still looking locally, and there's a lot of college golf teams out there. Around the country, there's hundreds and hundreds. Just on the West Coast alone, there's probably, I don't even know, 100. So they're out there everywhere looking for players to fill their team. Not just the big Division I, Pac-10, schools.
Right.
Yeah, and would you say that that's a pretty big part of the recruiting process, getting in front of those guys?
Yeah, I would say if you can get in front of those guys in the summertime in tournaments, even the tournaments now are year-round. Future Champions just had a lot of tournaments here in the fall. They have them year-round now, but geared towards summer, and you want to play against your local competition, then your national competition. But coaches are all over. All kinds of tournaments. You just got to get out there and show the scores. You shoot the scores and show the scores and some kind of consistency, they'll find you. They always do.
Makes sense to me.
Yeah. So what would you say are the most common misconceptions about becoming a college golfer?
Misconceptions are like that we're just like they practice, like when you go to college, you practice like all the time. Like you are at the course like 6 hours the afternoon, like 6 days a week. Like you're golfing all the time, or playing all the time, or traveling all the time. You're always out there grinding. You're always out there working on something, whether it's short game or if it's playing or if you're having drills, it just depends on where you go and what the structure they have. But people think that you're just having fun and going and playing golf for leisure. Like I would say golf puts in more hours than probably most other sports in college.
That doesn't surprise me at all. We shared a lot of time down at stadium together. We see those SDSU guys coming in constantly, day in, day out, all different teams, men and female, and they are just grinding. Great players, great people, but you got to put in that work.
Yeah, and then on top of that, they're working out like crazy. They're in the gym at 6 a.m. They're working out just as often as the football team, the baseball team, the soccer team. You're in there 4 or 5 days a week, early in the morning or running in the afternoon. Like you're putting in your work. You're an athlete in college, even if you're on the golf team.
Well, golf's a sport nowadays, so hooray.
It's not a hobby, it's a sport.
All right, Brian, in your experience, what skills or attributes would you find most important for success in NCAA or college golf?
I would say short game and the mental side of college golf.
Could you elaborate on that a little bit?
Adversity is very big in college golf, especially. Playing in new courses you never played. Conditions are usually pretty tough. Setups are tough. So learning how to manage your game, learning how to deal with adversity, patience, and having a good to great short game are all major keys to success in college golf.
Hitting nasty little spinners around the green, little floppers, whatever you need to do.
They set the pins up tough at some of these tournaments, and you just got to learn game management. I mean, it took me a long time to learn that. I learned probably middle of my college career from the coach. It's like you go to a tournament, especially as a team and there's 5 guys, it's not necessarily the team that makes the most birdies that wins, it's the team that makes the least amount of mistakes. And you can apply that to your individual game, even though it's a team game in college. Individual, same thing. It's about eliminating your mistakes, not necessarily making the most birdies. And you learn that through patience, game management, and short game.
I heard a rumor of a golf coach that was only tracking players' bogeys, didn't even care about their birdies in par, because all he wanted to know is how much were they basically losing ground versus gaining ground, but how could they handle that adversity?
Yeah, it's true, because in college as a team, it comes down to 1 or 2 shots out of 3 days and 5 players playing. I mean, it comes down to single shots. And there's going to be shots that are thrown away every day, but it comes down to how, you manage that the least amount of times. It make a big difference in everything. So that takes a while to learn in college. Most kids do not go into college knowing all that. That's developed through experience, through learning, through the coach, how he manages to teach that. So that's like a big thing.
Gotcha. So that'd probably be one of the things you recommend a high schooler work on the most to set themselves apart from other recruits.
A college coach is always looking for great talent, but they would much rather have 5 guys that were consistent and solid. They're not necessarily trying to build a team with 5 all-stars. Because there's a lot of guys in college that can go out and take it low, and then the next day they'll shoot 82. It's hard to rely and be consistent. And a college coach is looking to build the 5 best guys for a team. You can't send all the guys to the PGA Tour. So if you're looking at young high schoolers and stuff you want to learn, manage your game, manage your misses, manage your bogeys, learn to turn doubles into bogeys into pars, you'll immediately get a lot better. And patience is a big thing. Yeah, for everybody. Yeah, especially. But when you're going to college, you're going to play in these new courses. They're very hard. Some of them are easy, but you've got to play as a team.
And that's a good rule of thumb just for everybody.
It's fun as heck.
Brian, obviously you've played college golf at Oregon. Can can you describe a typical day in the life of a NCAA or college golfer?
Typical day of a college golfer. Well, you'll have 6:30 a.m. workouts or runs, like football stadiums or something, or you'll go to the gym. And then, you'll go to class from 9 to 12 or something, depending on how you structured your classes, So let's say you structured your class, you did workouts Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 6:30. Then you went to school from 9 to 12:30, something like that. And then you'd go to the practice from 1:30 to 6 or 2 to 6, after that. Or you went and played, but Monday through Friday, you either had 3 or 4 days of practice and 1 day of playing, or just depends on how the coach wanted to structure it, but you would have a full day, it just depends on how you structured your classes. You could structure your classes where you went Tuesday, Thursday, and went to all your classes and didn't have classes Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Then, but it just depends on how you structured them and how the coach wanted it structured. But you would go to work out in the morning, go to class, and then you go to practice right after class, from 1:30, 2 o'clock to dark.
Gotcha. And was practice sometimes on your own at just a local driving range, or was there a facility that you practiced with your teammates at?
So when I was at Oregon State, we had a university course. It was across from the university. And we had our own section that we could practice at. We usually practice together. At the back of the range, we'd all be there hitting balls, or we like to do a lot of team drills at the short game area. We had a really nice short game area. So they put cones at, and we might do drills, It just depends on what coach wanted to do. When I went to Fresno State, it was structured a little differently. We didn't have a straight structure like that. The coach at Fresno State was a little more hands-off, and he would just say, okay, we have Fort Washington on Tuesday, we have Sunnyside on Thursday, and Riverbend on Friday. Those were the days we could have the access to the course. And he's like, you guys can go out there and either practice for all afternoon or go play. It was up to you guys. And if you needed him, he'd come out and work with you or whatever. He'd let you kind of work on what you wanted to do. It's different everywhere you go. And I would say finding that out before you sign a letter of intent to go to university is huge. Find out how they structure practice, because I've seen it 2 totally different ways. So you just got to find out what's the best way that works for you.
And so on top of that, what challenges do you think that college golfers face that they might not expect, kind of expanding on that point you just made, or anything else?
I mean, NIL is affecting a little bit of college golf, not like it does football and baseball or something, but I would say the big thing affecting all college sports, not just golf or football, is the NIL and the transfer rules. Like, you don't have to, there's the process, you go into a portal and you transfer to wherever you want to go. It was totally different for me when I wanted to transfer. You have to get approval basically from the university. You have to get a waiver basically, and they had to okay where you were going. And if you went inside your division, or if you went inside your district, you might have to sit out a year. There's all kinds of rules, but now it's totally the opposite. It's totally for the player. I think that's a problem though, because people are just going to bounce around, and it's really hard to develop bonds and solid team and build, because people just feel like they can just go whenever they don't like something. So the obstacles, it's definitely more for the player than anything. I know it's not many obstacles, but obstacle is if you get your opportunity.
And I'm sure some of the guys at the upper echelons that are going to these D1 schools, the Stanfords and stuff like that, they're going to stay for 4 years, because at that level, a championship becomes a real deal. And the more you know your team, the better chances you have at taking home that title. But D2, D3, changing career paths, things like that, it sounds like it can get a little tricky.
In golf, you don't see it as much, because generally you're happy where you go, you get an opportunity, you have good facilities. Like, it's not like football. It does happen, but I would say the reason why you see kids transfer in golf, either two things. It's either a coaching change at the university, or they went somewhere that they didn't really fit in. They didn't really do their due diligence before they signed. A lot of times it's the weather. West Coast guy goes to school back east and he's not used to the snow and the cold. It affected me. I went from San Diego to Oregon and it was raining 3 months straight, but I learned to be a better golfer in the rain. But those do hit hard for student athletes going to a different place, especially different climates and different cultures. A lot of stuff, a lot of change.
So when talking about, just the life of a college golfer, Brian, what do you think it takes for these high schoolers to find that scholarship? What type of advice could you give them?
I would say, broaden your horizons, broaden your spectrum. A lot of junior golfers get wrapped up in, I want to go to a certain school or I want to go to a certain area. Honestly, you either decide, are you going to college for golf and becoming a better golfer, or for just golf and maybe education? But these are all things you got to figure out. But so many people want to go to that big school where they might not play a lot. And is it better if you're a game to go somewhere else where you'll get to play and get that experience? So I would say, really look hard at where you think you can get the most out of your 4-year experience. What are you looking for? Are you looking to just become the best golfer you can possibly be? What resources are there available to you? Or do you really think playing in every tournament possible, maybe at a lower level school or lower level D2, D3? There's a lot of guys on the PGA Tour that come out of D3, D2 as well. Or are you just looking to get a mixture of playing experience, getting a little bit better, and getting a solid education, living the college experience, I would say broaden your horizons and look at every possible avenue. Is it all in state or going out of state? Smaller schools. Just broaden your horizons. I played with a lot of really good golfers at smaller schools, but they got to play all the time. Whereas if they would have went to that D1, SEC, Pac-12, whatever school, they might not have played as much. Would they have improved as much? So that's what I think.
It's fantastic advice. I wish I had had that advice when I was going into college golf.
I've seen a lot of really good golfers get stuck on the bench and not be able to make a team at Oklahoma State or, Texas or whatever. You're competing against some of the best golfers in the country.
Yeah. To add on that, I basically chose education over golf when I was in that process. But having offers, it was definitely something I think about now. It's I would have loved to go and have chosen golf over the education, kind of seen how life could change. But I'm happy with the decision I made, and I chose what was right for me at the time. So that's really good advice. So expanding on that, Brian, what is one thing you wish you knew before you started your college golf career?
Oh, that was the one thing. I think I learned really late the things I was talking about. I learned late how to be patient. I learned late game management. I hated working on my short game. I wanted to hit it good every day, I didn't learn how to play golf until it was my last year. And then it really hit me afterwards when I started playing competitively after college. And I was like, man, all those little things I picked on, but I didn't put it together until really I was out of college and I was playing better golf. But it was things that I learned in college, the little things, patience, how to manage your emotions on the golf course, importance of short game and how it saves, your round and keeps momentum going. I would say the sooner you can learn all that, you can go out and play mediocre golf and still shoot a good score if you learn all those things. And when you're playing competitively, that's huge. Not like we're going out and playing skins game, you're going out there to try to make our best score. So those would probably be what I would say, those 3 things.
So expanding on that as well, what would you say through, your 4 years in playing college golf, what was the most rewarding experience for you?
College golf is by far, I think, the best sport you can play in college because you get to travel the world for free. You get to see some of the best golf courses, the best parts of the country. You get to hang, you know, with your buddies on your team and travel. I mean, there's no better experience. But, you know, being able to go play all these different courses and, you know, have some like matches and showdowns with some of the best players. I mean, I played in college against Anthony Kim. I played with him. I played with so many great golfers in college that are on the PGA Tour. You know, that's so cool. You know, I remember which course I played with them at, what round, you know. So those are just cool things that you only will experience when you play college golf. So that was probably the most rewarding. There was no one defining thing, but I would say all together is what that was. That was what I'd say I got.
Hope you all learned a lot this week. I know I did about the college golf experience. We're going to thank our friend Brian Kelley here. Thanks for coming on, Brian.
Anytime.
And
Thank you.
thanks, brother. And until next week,
Good time, man.
if you guys like this content, please like, subscribe, and share. And we'll see you all next week.